So this is my ADC tier list for patch 14.12. There weren't that many changes in this actual, but I feel like a lot of things actually changed from playing the patch now for around 3 days, 3.5 days. I feel like there's quite a difference in the ADCs that I feel like are really top tier, and a lot of champions that I wasn't expecting to move up, moved up a lot due to Static Shiv, I think becoming a really good item now. It went from being a decent item that was really good when you completed it, but having really shit components, to being an item that has kind of mech components, but still being really good when you complete it, which makes it overall, I think, one of the best like first item slots right now for a lot of ADCs. And that also helps a lot of champions, such like Zeri and Xayah, which we will go more into when we actually get to those.
Doesn't get better than this.
Hello, YouTube. I mean, hey though. Surely everyone will be nice. Okay, starting it off with Kalista. I believe Kalista right now sits between B and A tier. She feels quite a bit better this patch compared to previous patches, just due to the fact that I feel like crit ADCs have slowly been getting a little bit weaker, which gives more room for on-hit ADCs to shine. I'm not fully sure what her win rate is right now, but last time I checked, it wasn't too bad. It was quite decent, to be honest. But I do think like she's more B tier rather than A tier. So for me, I'm definitely feel more comfortable putting her into B tier, and then definitely not C tier, probably not A tier either. I think B tier fits her pretty well. Her build right now is mostly just going Bork first. There is still some people going lethality on her in solo queue, but it has quite a bit worse win rate than on hit. It has 47% versus 52. I do think if you go like on it and you play PTA, I think that's the best way to play her right now. I think she did lose a little bit of power with lethal tempo removal, but I do think the new Bork is a really good item on her, which she's really happy about. It's just a really good stat stick, 55 AD, 30% attack speed, 10% lifesteal. Then we got Ziggs. Ziggs, I believe, is pretty good, to be honest. Maybe B tier. Maybe B tier alongside Kalista. His win rate isn't that crazy. He provides really good wave clear. He has a really safe laning phase. He takes towers really fast. He's been played quite a bit in LPL as an answer into Senna. And overall, he just provides a decent bit, good AP damage, good objective taking, great turret siege, good poke. But I think some of the other mages in this list that we'll talk about later have a much better laning phase than him, which is why I tend to rate them higher myself personally. And then we have MF. I think MF might also fall into B tier for me, leaning further into C tier though. I think in lower elo she's still a solid pick, but she kind of gets worse and worse the higher elo you go. But it looks like even in lower elos right now she's not having the best success, so this might be our first C tier here. This might actually be our first C tier. For me, MF is a champion that I always kind of want to put low, but then she has a good win rate, so I want to put her higher just to like account for the fact that she's doing well. But currently her win rate's not very good. I feel like lethality builds are not that insane. People seem to be maybe playing a bit more tanks. I don't know if it's just my games, but that's kind of the vibe I get. I feel like people have realized that Warmog's Rush is OP. Like this game I just played, enemy team had 3 Warmogs. I had 2 Warmogs, no, 1 Warmogs on my team, and MF does not do good against HP stackers because she has nothing that, you know, does percentage HP, and she also builds lethality, and then they have armor that gets fucked as well. So for me, MF, C tier. C tier. Then we have Varus. I think Varus is another B tier champ, very similar to Kalista, has a really strong laning phase, can both go lethality and on hit, can even go AP. I've seen him a lot recently in top lane. I believe he's kind of having a resurgence in top lane. His stats aren't the best. I believe in solo queue, it's most of the time better to go on hit rather than lethality, and the win rate seems to, you know, suggest that as well, similar to Kalista. It's just, if you go lethality, you have to play really well to snowball, and you have to play fights really slowly. And your teammates usually will not let you play fights really slowly. So that most of the time that doesn't work out. You want to just sit back and poke, your dumbass teammates just run in and die, you pick Varus, you know, happens. Well, if you go on it, you can fight alongside your team and you can output a lot more DPS, and it's easier to play, I think. And then we have Kog'Maw. A or B? A or B? I'm actually not sure. I feel like Kog'Maw is, I guess actually his winner, it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean A tier. I think A tier. I think he's like really good with Lulu, really good with Milio, really good with Braum. He's okay with engaged supports, but not crazy good. Has an okay laning phase these days. And you can go Warmogs. That's true, that's true. Warmogs is a good like tank item. And overall, he's just like a solid on-hit hyper carry. I feel like he has a weaker laning phase than these two, but he has a much stronger mid and late game than these two, because he has way more range. He has percentage HP that's way stronger, and he just scales up to... And also, yeah, he counters the Warmog stacking, and he can also go Warmogs himself as a defensive item. He can do both. Seraphine, I think this champ is ass in general. It's just not very good champ. He probably C tier though. I don't think D tier. I think not D tier. I think C tier. I don't really see Seraphine much. I know she's played on NA. I just feel like, I mean, actually, I guess with Blackfire Torch, I think if you need a supportive mage, she can be decent. I think the best time to pick Seraphine, to be honest, is if you have a Sona or Senna. Those two times, I think Seraphine can be good. She's really good with those two champs. But other than that, it's rare that I think like Seraphine is a good pick. And it's also if enemy team has Seraphine, you can usually just free farm and you can scale up. And ideally you're playing like a good scaling champ and then you take over the game from there. Then we have Nilah. So Nilah actually got buffed this patch, but I have not played her and I haven't seen her a single time. The buffs she got were very small though. So not that significant. I do believe it was maybe half a percentage win rate bump. Yeah, 0.3%. It was a very small buff, but I do think it puts her, for me, I think she's like high B tier. I don't think she's quite A tier. She's too situational, I feel like, to be A tier, but she's solid. She's solid. She's really good into heavy auto-attacking comps. Like if they have an ADC and they have Tristana mid, I think Nilah is good. If you have an enchanter support, that's really good with levels, and you can sort of funnel that support. That's really nice. She excels at that. As a champion where, like, for me at least, my experience is, most of the time, I pick ADC after I see 1 or 2 champs from the enemy team, and it's just never gonna be a Nilah game for me, if that's the case. I feel like I need to see a lot more champions to recognize that I want to play Nilah. That just means that I very rarely get to play her. And I also think her kit is kind of clunky. I don't like how the E is a buffer, kind of like Tristana W. I wish it was like Samira E. I will complain about this every single time I talk about Nilah. Make Nilah E smoother, make Nilah EQ smoother. It should feel like Samira EQ. Why doesn't it feel like Samira EQ? Samira EQ feels amazing. Nilah EQ feels dog shit. Nilah was released later than Samira. Doesn't make sense. And then we have Yasuo. I mean, this champion is okay, I think. It's okay. It still has good matchups in bot lane. I think low B tier alongside Ziggs. I think low B tier for Yasuo. He has good matchups. He doesn't have lethal tempo anymore, which makes him a bit weaker early game. He's still annoying for a lot of ADCs to deal with, but he still has a good snowball potential. He's good in comps where he has a lot of knockups to set him up. His items are decent once he actually like gets to 2-3 items. But at 1 item, he is a lot weaker. So it's like low B tier, high C tier. I would say Yasuo fits in. But worse than Ziggs for sure. He should be bottom B tier. And then we have Xayah. So Xayah is an unexpected mover upper for me. I think Xayah is A tier now. I think with the... you could even argue she's S tier, to be honest. Like, one of the things that really surprised me about this patch was when I looked at the top ADCs on the patch, I suddenly saw Xayah and Zeri. And at first I was really confused because I thought to myself, they didn't buff neither Xayah or Zeri. So what happened here? So what happened is that Static Shiv has now gotten buffed, I believe, 3 times in a row. And it has become an item that is just really good. It gives really good stats. The components are not really bad anymore. And you spike much faster than the other crit ADCs do. And you're able to, do a lot in the game. I don't know if I'm fully willing to put Xayah S tier, but high A tier, I can definitely see it. High A tier, I can definitely see it, but I don't think S tier. I don't think S tier. There's still probably only going to be 1 champ that's S tier, but I think maybe there's not going to be... No, actually, I think that there might be a few champs in S tier, but I think there might not be a Z tier champ. We'll see. We'll see how things pan out. Then we have Samira. Samira's low B tier, no? I just feel like she doesn't do anything. I play Samira, and I'm always disappointed. Every time I pick Samira. I think to myself, I don't do enough damage, I'm not tanky enough, and I feel like shit. And then I don't play her for a while. But she does have crazy snowballing, and against low CC comps, she can do a lot. I think C tier. I think high C tier. If I play Samira, I need my team to go in. I need them to set everything up for me. I need them to give me the perfect fight so that I can dash in. Because if they don't give me the perfect fight and I can't dash in, I literally do 0 damage. I can't like, oh, I can Q poke. Can't fucking do that. And then we have Draven, S tier. Really good. His win rate now, I think, represents more how strong I think he is. I think more people are starting to build BT first, which is why his win rate is rising. Please go BT first. I think it's just better than Collector. I really think so. I don't understand why you'd go Collector first. Just really good champ. I've talked about it before. He benefits so much off of these new crit items. There's so many high AD items for Draven to buy. He just thrives in this environment of builds right now. I do think maybe if tanks start to come more and more back, he could start struggling against that. We'll have to see. But right now, I don't think that's too huge of a problem. And I think with like, if they do start to go tanky, you can start considering stuff like Conquer. I always go Sorcery second with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm because I love that tree. I love that combination. And I love having AD level 1. But I think Domination second can be fine too. And then we have Ezreal. I think Ezreal's A tier too. So Ezreal got some huge buffs this patch. His Q does 10% more damage or has like 10% more AD ratio. He gets more AD per level. And his ult does 25 more damage rank 1, 50 damage rank 2, 75 damage rank 3. So I think Ezreal now is playing with the big boys. I don't think he's like OP S tier level, but I do think that he is among the stronger ADCs right now. He felt really good when I played it. You do have to snowball on him though. I do think you get outscaled by most of the other crit and some of even the on-hit champs. At 2 to 3 items, I think as Ezreal, if you're a little bit snowballed or if you're equal, you're one of the strongest champions in the game. And I think you can really take over the game as a result. And then we have Smolder. Smolder's a champ I've been giving a lot of second chances to. I've given a lot of second chances to this Smolder champ. I like Smolder a lot. I like stacking. I can't lie, I'm a stacker. And I've been wanting to think that Smolder is good. I've really wanted to think that he's good, but in my heart of hearts, I cannot faithfully tell you that Smolder is a good champ. He is okay. At best, he's okay. At best, he's okay. Now, does that put him low B tier or high C tier? I mean, his win rate is not good either. Actually, never mind. It's actually negative. Yeah, fuck you, Smolder. You're C tier. I thought maybe the win rate would be higher. I think on day 1, his win rate was better. His winner was better last patch. I just don't think he's... I don't want to put him D tier. Because I already put him D tier. And I don't think he's that bad, you know? Like, I don't think he's like... Like, D tier for me, it's like champs that are like borderline troll, if you pick it. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's better than Samira. Maybe not in... I mean, even in low elo. I think he's better than Samira and MF. But I think... there's still a lot lacking. I really think that they need to reconsider his Q. Why are you giving it a Q ratio instead of just being able to make it crit? And or if you're gonna make it like, give it a crit ratio, make it work with Infinity Edge. It's so weird to me that you can't buy Infinity Edge on this champion. It just feels so clunky. And then it's like, you can't buy Yuntal either. So you're missing IE and Yuntal. And it's like, you have true damage, so like, you kind of don't want to go LDR, but you still have to go LDR. You can't go Infinity Edge. I don't know. It's weird. His itemization is still a bit weird. Just stacking haste, it's kind of boring. I don't think it's that interactive. I think they can still do some work to make this champion more interesting. And then we have Xayah. I actually think Xayah got a bit better this patch. Why do I think Xayah got better this patch? Well, because people are playing a lot of fucking Kai'Sa. And you know, Xayah is really nice at the Kai'Sa. And right now, Kai'Sa is the most picked ADC in the game. Most picked ADC in the game is Kai'Sa. Historically, one of the best champions into Kai'Sa has been Xayah. Now, the problem is, if they don't pick Kai'Sa, this champion's kind of ass. She's still really good into like comps that dive onto you, but it's rare that you get to see that before maybe you pick your ADC. But I do think because of that, I want to put her around B tier. I think around B tier, around here, I feel good about putting Xayah. I think if they have Zeri, Xayah can be okay. I think if they have Kai'Sa, Xayah can be okay. I think if they have Samira, Xayah is good. I think if they have Nilah, Xayah is good. I think if they have Yasuo, Xayah is good. If they have like these kind of like melee-esque ADCs, champions that like dash onto you and need to fight you like that, and they need to interact with Xayah feathers, muy bueno, right? That's really nice. And same with the enemy team comp. If they have it like Diana, if they have the Aatrox, if they have fucking Akali, you know, all these champions that need to come melee onto you, Camille, Xayah is great. Xayah is great. If they have a Hwei, if they have a Talia, if they have an Ahri, that can be pretty annoying. That can be pretty annoying. Because they can play from range and you can't really hit them because you're very low range ADC. So that's just the type of things that I look out for when I want to play Xayah. That I have both a good ADC matchup and a good team composition to do it into. But I do think as a situational pick, she is good. But because she is so situational, I don't think I can put her higher than B tier. And her items are still not the best. I think you have to go like Kraken into Navori, into IE, but it's kind of like an awkward... It's just worse than it was before the ADC crit items rework. And then Vayne. Vayne. Whatever, I feel like. Maybe she's B tier. I mean, with Static, I do... Actually, yeah. I think I'm trolling right now. I think with Static and Kraken, Vayne is not so bad. I think she's B tier. I think she's high B tier even. I think so. I can't deny it. Just the same reasoning I gave for Kai'Sa to be strong. Kai'Sa likes to go Kraken static. Those two items are pretty good. The same for Vayne. Vayne likes to go Kraken static. I think pretty good. I think don't go Bork though. I think don't go Bork. And then Sivir. So First Strike got nerfed for the Sivir First Strike build. But I never thought that build was that OP in the first place. It does look like she has 3 competing first item slots that are all relatively competitive in terms of win rates. And I do think Sivir is a decent answer into Zeri. So you could pick it then. But I'm very tempted to put Sivir C tier, to be honest. It's C or B tier for sure. She's okay into Ezreal. I don't like Sivir at all into Kai'Sa. I think it's a good Kai'Sa. It's really nice for Kai'Sa. You can put her low B tier. You can put her low B tier. I like how that looks. She's not like... I think she's still better than Smolder. You know, I'm not sure which one of these is best. My mind tells me that it's probably not Essence River and that Static or Kraken should be better than Essence River, because Essence River just doesn't seem to be a great item still, even after they buffed it so many times. It just doesn't really, I don't know, seem crazy. And then I'm assuming, like, if you go... The thing is also, if you go Essence River first, you kind of have to go Navori second, because otherwise you have no attack speed. Well, if you go Static or Kraken first, I think you can actually get away with going IE second, because you're getting attack speed from these 2 items. So that also opens up you to go IE into Navori, rather than Navori into IE. I think all 3 can be viable, though. Test and feel it as you do. I think Static can probably be good in hard games or hard matchups where you just really want extra wave clear. While Kraken should be good into tanks, and then I don't really know what Essence River's place would be. Then we have Senna. Fasting Senna I think is still pretty good. I think it's not insane, but I think it's like decent. I'd say like B tier. But farming Senna, ugh, yeah, yuck. I don't know if it's D tier. I think I might do a tier list without any champ in D tier. We just put this low C tier. Because I don't feel like there's any champ that is that bad. Maybe Senna is that champ, but I think her win rate's not terrible. But her pick rate is so low that it's kind of like fake, you know? It's like 0.2% pick rates. Like it's 900 games. When I'm looking at Emerald Plus worldwide. That's insane, actually. And only 900 games of Senna ADC. This shit does not get played. I think low C tier. I think low C tier. Then we got Corki. So Corki, I think, lost a lot of power this patch. He lost a lot of damage on his E. He lost base AD. And I think he lost a bit of HP as well. But he got some attack speed. And his win rate dropped quite a bit as a result. He went from being a 50.7% win rate champ to being a 48.7. I do think maybe Qmax is better now. It has a bit better win rate, like 1.5% better, 2% better win rate, but with a lower sample size. Also hard to say, like Fleet and Halo Blades still have exactly the same win rate, so maybe it's just like matchup dependent. I also think that maybe like going full lethality like before is not as good anymore because your E doesn't shred as much armor, so maybe opting more into Triforce makes more sense, but not fully sure. Not fully sure. We'll have to see a bit how it develops. But for now, I think he's B or C. I think B. I think he still has decent burst. He still has decent burst. Like when I played against him, he still had damage that could surprise you, but it's definitely way less obnoxious than it was before. I think just the base AD nerf and the E damage nerf and the E armor shred nerf all kind of adds up to make a pretty big impact on his overall burst. I do think though that maybe if people adapt more with the builds and with what they max, maybe his win rate could go up. Like maybe you play more of a Qmax Triforce auto-attacking type of style rather than trying to play for one-shots. Could be something. But overall, it looks like he lost quite a bit of his power and a lot of his early game power that he had from last patch. Then we got Karthus. So Karthus got nerfed, I believe, on the last patch. He lost a little bit of damage on his Q. He's still a pretty good bot laner, I think. But I don't know if I want to put him S tier. I think I just want to put him A tier. This, I think I like it. Still very low pick rate. People just hate playing Karthus on bot lane. Blackfire Torch first, yeah. And then into Landry's, into Rabadon. Boom, boom, bam. Overall, also Void Staff got buffed, which I guess is nice for some of these mages on the list. But a pretty solid champ. Has really... The thing that kind of separates him, I think, from like Ziggs and Seraphine is that he just has a really obnoxious laning phase. And I think we can one-shot all the mages at once, to be honest, because I think all of these for me are A tier. Maybe Hwei even S tier, to be honest. This champ is so fucking OP. It's just like it got nerfed, but I still think this champ is so OP. It doesn't have the craziest win rate, but I just think in both lane has crazy win rate, but so sample size, but it's just like so fucking OP. But I'm not gonna put it S. I'm not gonna put it S. I'm just gonna put it A. But I think Hwei is so OP. The laning phase is so crazy. He has so much CC. He has so much range. He has so much follow up. He has so much slows. He has like a shield. Move speed buff, infinite mana with his W, infinite wave clear with his QE. He just provides so much, and this champion is so strong. And yeah, and Brand is also fucking strong. I don't know, these burning champs that can abuse Blackfire Torch, I think they're all really strong, and kind of the winners of the mage meta right now, in my opinion, especially in solo queue. If you can buy Blackfire Torch, you can buy Liandry's, probably your champion's pretty good. So yeah, and then we have Zeri. Zeri for me, I feel like is very similar to Xayah in that she's moved up a lot to static Shiv buffs. Her win rate's really solid. I played her quite a bit myself. The build that I found seems the best is static Shiv into Hurricane, into Infinity Edge. I think Hurricane is the best steal item in the game. I mean, it's only out of 3, but still, I think the changes that they did to all the Zeal items, I think Hurricane was, I mean, there's 4 actually, there's also Rapid Fire, I forgot, and Navori, and P. But I think what the change that they did to Hurricane was like the biggest win out of all the Zeal items. The fact that the bolts now are 55% physical damage instead of 40% is just such a big win. And as a stat stick, it isn't that much worse than PD. It's like 20% less attack speed and 5% less move speed. But you get so much better wave clear. You get so much more damage in team fights. It's just so nice. But this is still really like good move speed. And Navori, like all these are good options, right? Navori makes it so you have perma E. PD gives you so much attack speed and move speed. And Hurricane just gives you insane AoE damage. And I love the insane AoE damage. And I love how fast it makes me able to clear raptors, makes me able to clear wolves, makes me able to clear mid waves. And it just makes me like really fast on the map. I can go from place to place all the time, and I can maintain like 10 to 12 CS per minute, which is kind of how you need to play Zeri, in my opinion. I think you need to be really high CS per minute, because fighting champions, this champ isn't that strong until you get to like really later on in the game. So you need to like farm up before you get your items, and then you can really start putting the gas on the pedal and start fighting champs. And then we have Twitch. I do believe A tier as well, I feel like. Do I think A tier? I do think A tier. I think A tier with Bork, Hurricane, IE. This champion still scales like crazy. This champion's good into Ezreal, it's good into Zeri. It should be getting played more, I think. It's good into a lot of these champions on the list. It's really hard to play in stuff like Draven. I kind of like Kai'Sa into Twitch because you can like spot him with the W. You can typically always ult on him in team fights if you have some CC to kind of like go on him, while a lot of these other champions doesn't really have that availability. But I think Twitch is pretty good. Also good into some of these mages. And can always cheese kills in solo queue. I say this every time, but Twitch is champ that's always going to be good in solo queue. Just for the simple fact that what's going to happen is, like, Twitch decides to drop a wave on bot. He goes mid lane, gets a kill. He goes top lane, gets a kill. He goes jungle, gets a kill, you know? People do not respect stealth whatsoever, and it's going to happen no matter what. That's how the game is. People are pigs. I don't know. Is what it is. You know, so Twitch is always going to be strong, just from that simple nature. As long as Twitch has the stealth and he's able to snowball, it's going to be a pretty good champ. Then we have Caitlyn. Bro, I feel like I'm putting so many champs in A tier. Maybe I'll have to reevaluate it a bit, because I feel like Caitlyn's maybe A tier as well. Caitlyn did get nerfed, but I still think she is very good. In my heart of hearts, I think she's still A tier. I think she's still A tier. She's still good. She still does so much damage. She still has crazy good items, the same as Draven. Insane, like, AD on items, and she can really snowball off of that. First Strike got nerfed, so I think Fleet is a more viable option now sometimes. Actually, maybe with First Strike nerf, I could argue that she should move down to B tier. Let's put her at the tail end of A tier. The tail end of A tier, alongside Kog'Maw. I do think she still fits more into the A tier category rather than the B tier. Just from the fact that she still has really good laning phase, she still has really good snowballing, she still has really good items to buy, and she still has like really good scaling as well if you get to like really late game. Her mid game is not crazy, it's okay, but her hyper late game is still insane. So yeah, I think low A tier for Caitlyn. And then Tristana, B tier. Tristana B tier. She's okay, better on mid lane. I say this every time. You just go Kraken first into, I think, IE or Navori, and then whichever you didn't buy, you go that third. She has like decent snowballing potential if she can dash in. That's pretty rare. I mean, it depends a lot on support matchup, I guess. If you have a free support matchup where you're winning hard and you can just jump in and you can bomb people, then she's definitely good. But if you can't do that, it can be hard. And she's better in mid lane because it's easier to jump in when it's 1v1. If you have two supports that roam, for example, Tristana's pretty chill because she can usually jump on the enemy ADC. But if it's 2v2, it can be hard to jump on him. Then it can be hard to really progress. And she also has kind of the similar problem as Caitlyn in that her mid game is kind of awkward. She's really good early game and she's really good mega late game. But her mid game can be a bit awkward and she scales really well with levels, which is why she's also usually better in mid lane because she gets longer range the more levels she gets. So it's like kind of self-explanatory that she's a mid laner. think Riot didn't think about that when they were designing her in 2009. Okay, and then we have Lucian. Lucian, I think this is a C tier. I think you fall into C tier, Beast. This champ isn't that great. First strike got nerfed, so he's a bit weaker with Nami Milio, I believe. He is nice with the new PTA. He doesn't have great items. I don't think he's a great static user. I don't think he's a great Kraken user. So then you're left with Essence Reaver, but nobody kind of wants to buy Essence Reaver. The only champ that really wants to buy Essence Reaver is Smolder. So it makes perfect sense that they sit together down in the C tier department. And then we got Aphelios. I have to be honest with myself. I know I put Aphelios high in my recent tier list, but this champion is hard to win on. I win on him because I am very, very good on Aphelios. Not to stroke my own horn. I've been playing Aphelios since he released, and I have always had a 60+% win rate on him. So if I think he feels, if I can win on him, is not the litmus test of if he's a strong champion or not. Right now, he has the lowest win rate of any ADC. So I cannot sit here and say that he's A tier. I don't think I can say that. I think the max my Copimus Maximus can get me is B tier. He still has good items, but I do think one nice thing about him this patch is if enemy locks in Xayah or Zeri, I feel confident that I can pull out a win with Aphelios. But if they lock in any of the other champions in A tier, I do not want to touch Aphelios. And if they lock in some of these champions in B tier, I don't really want to touch Aphelios. So for me, Aphelios right now is a tough sell, but I do know how strong he can be. And I know that his win rate in solo queue is always lower than his actual power, just because people, I don't know how you guys lose so much on Aphelios. You guys don't understand the guns, you're not doing a weapon rotation properly, you're just inting maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure myself. People lose a lot on Aphelios, that's for sure. And then we got down to the last three. We got Ashe here. Ashe. So Ashe got nerfed this patch, but the nerf wasn't insane. It was like 1% win rate drop. Oh, it was actually 2% win rate drop. But I do think she still has a place in A tier, somewhere along the lines of here. I think overall this patch, if I were to sum up this patch, it feels like all the ADCs are becoming quite close to each other. There's not that much standout strengths. I think on-hit champs are feeling similar in strength to crit champs and vice versa, which makes this effect of, and also a lot of the champs that were really bad, like Smolder and Ezreal, both got buffed a lot. So I don't really feel like you have such a huge gap between them. And also, like, some of the crit items got nerfed. So the champs, like, for example, like Caitlyn, that was really good, got nerfed. So overall, it feels like we've kind of tightened a bit of the barrier between the different tiers. Which is also why there's a lot of champs in A tier, and there's a lot of champs in B tier, and there's no champ in D tier, and there's no champ in Z tier. Then we have Jhin. Now, is Jhin A tier or S tier? That's the question I have for myself. But the thing is, like, I don't really want to play Jhin into Xayah or Zeri. I like playing it into Ashe. I like playing it into Ezreal. But into Xayah Zeri, I have a lot of other champions I like a lot more. I like Aphelios a lot more. I like Draven a lot more. I like Xayah a lot more. Maybe I don't feel like he's S. Because if two of the most played champions are Zeri and Xayah, but the thing is, okay, let me think. Who would I want to play Jhin into on this list? I'd want to play it into Caitlyn. She's played a lot. I'd want to play it into Ashe. She's played a lot. I'd want to play it into Ezreal. He's played a lot. Okay, S tier it is. S tier it is. I'd want to play him into a lot of these champions. I don't like Jhin that much into Jinx. I feel like Jinx can kind of free scale. I like Jhin into Ashe because, like, you can go buy Swifties for Ashe's slows, and you can, like, W and alter later on in team fights. And overall, you can kind of farm against her. I like Jhin against Varus, because you can, like, wave clear so he can't really poke you down, and you can, like, dodge his skill shots with your move speed. I like Jhin against Ezreal, because you can get push, and you can also dodge his skill shots, because you get so much move speed. And I like Jhin into Caitlyn, because you can also kind of match her push. Overall, Jhin into lane bullies is pretty nice, because he's kind of like an AD neutralizer, which there's not many other ADCs that can kind of do. And then we have Jinx. Now the question is, does Jinx go to Z tier or S tier? I think I don't want to put any champ Z tier this patch. So I don't really feel like there is, like, I feel like Jinx isn't that crazy anymore, because you can answer with a lot of these, like, static Shiv ADCs and be fine playing against it. I feel like it looks like this. Feels right. I mean, Jinx stats are still crazy though. Jinx stats are still crazy. Like, she has 53% win rate with the third highest, fourth highest pick rate. But by that logic, Ashe's stats, I mean, Ashe's stats are not as crazy, I guess. I think S tier. I think I want to leave it like this. Because this kind of sums up more of my feelings of the ADC role right now. I don't feel like there's a clear OP champ to play. I think you have the strong side of the table, which is the A and S tier. And then you have the weaker side, which is the B and C. But there's not one or two champs that I feel like are really trash. And there's not one or two champs that I feel like are insanely OP. You you know? Like, if we were to compare, yes, Jinx has the best stats. Like, Kai'Sa's stats are really good too. Zeri's stats are really good too. Ashe's stats are really good too. You know, there's a lot of other champs that I feel like are kind of competing, which makes me feel like, you know, this looks right. This feels right. All of them kind of match up against each other decently well. So it comes down to skill. Because you're watching this so that you just know what to play, but you're still relying on your skill to win, right? You don't just want to play the most OP champ and then just win because of that, right? You wouldn't want to do that. Wouldn't want to just abuse a broken champion to climb fictional points in a video game, would you? Right, you would never do that. That was my patch 40.12 ADC tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you guys think. What champions do you guys think I underrated? What champions do you guys think I overrated? Overall, I think it's a fair tier list. There's nothing that crazy. Excited to see how the meta shapes up. Overall, I'm really happy that a lot of the champs are like closer together. I think it makes for a much more exciting ADC. It's like, I got bored of Jinx. I can't lie to you. I was picking Jinx every single game. And I didn't get bored of Jinx because I was losing. Don't get me fucking wrong. I was not fucking losing on Jinx. But I still got bored. 77% win rate, my most played. And you can see yesterday when I played solo queue, I told myself, I'm not gonna play fucking Jinx. I'm not gonna play a single game of Jinx. Because I'm bored of this fucking champ. And if you play a champ and you win every single game and you still get bored of it, then it's a problem, bro. That's a problem. So I'm very happy that other champions are starting to get better and that I can feel good about playing champions like Kai'Sa and Zeri, which I think have a much higher skill ceiling than Jinx has. So overall, I'm very happy with this patch and I'm excited to play more.